Ladies and gentlemen, Europe has set out the ambition to be the first supplier of green energy, to be the first digital continent, and also the first continent in terms of the circular economy. Making these ambitions a reality requires critical materials, such as lithium for batteries, magnet, or semiconductors. In September, we laid the foundation stone of the European RawMaterials Alliance, the first action of the action plan on critical raw materials to improve recovery and resilience of supply chains for the EU's industrial ecosystems. The alliance will be key to integrate industrial value chains, to innovate and align high environmental, social, and governance standards. We must boost our own domestic capacity for primary raw materials and for secondary raw materials through enhanced circularity. We need to look at loopholes in the value chain, particularly refining capacity. And we aim to do all this with the highest environmental and biodiversity protection standards. I am pleased to see that so far, over 130 industry partners, 50 industry associations, some governmental authorities, over 20 universities and research organizations, several also financial institutions and others in Europe and beyond have already endorsed the European RawMaterials Alliance. On November 17, we launched the first strategic partnership with Canada. ERMA will play an important part in building the network and identifying investment opportunities and needs for this and other strategic partnerships, both in the EU and outside. This is proof that this alliance meets a real need. Today, this meeting marks the start of the operational phase of the alliance. The presence of a wide range of industry shows your commitment, particularly a strong involvement by the downstream industry is absolutely crucial for the success of the alliance. I would still like to encourage trade unions and NGOs participate, since it is absolutely essential that they contribute to the work of the alliance so that it takes all aspects into consideration. I also believe that it is important to ensure that appropriate investments are made available to secure our ambition. And in this context, I encourage member states to include investments in critical raw materials into their national recovery plans. I would reiterate our strong support to the alliance based on transparency and inclusiveness. And I wish you a productive meeting offering opportunity to clarify, open questions, and show the way forward for the next months. Thank you.
A big thank you to Commissioner Breton for the words of support and his video message. With this, I would like to welcome Vice President Maros Šefčovič, who will join our today's ERMA session online. I'm happy to give the floor to Vice President Šefčovič for his intervention presenting online. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Bernd. I also would like to greet all the members of the European RawMaterials Alliance and all the colleagues who are participating in this video conference. And first, I really would like to thank EIT RawMaterials for the invitation and also for providing the opportunity for Commissioner Breton to lay out how he sees the importance of our common work, and also for providing us both with the possibility to kick off the sessions and say a few introductory words. words. I would start by stating the fact which we all have to bear in mind, that this is really a crunch time. I think every day we see what kind of impact the COVID-19 pandemic has on our daily lives, but also how it disrupts our global value chains, how it tests our resilience, and how it serves for all of us as a wake-up call. And therefore, as I already set out in our first annual strategic foresight report, what we need is to really boost our resilience, not only to withstand this shock and the possible future shocks to come, but also to consolidate our strategic pathways to link to the green and digital transition. And to do this, one of the most pressing challenges is to address the issue of critical raw materials, including over-reliance on the limited number of the third countries and the resulting vulnerabilities to our supply chains. And I think that this is clearly becoming a core component of what we call our open strategic autonomy. What it means for us? First, it means our ability to reduce the dependencies and strengthen our security of supply in key assets such as technologies, raw materials, energy, pharmaceuticals, foods, and so on. But on the second hand, we want to do it to make sure that we would preserve the benefits of the open economy and support our partners around the globe. I think that we would all agree that for all of us, the stakes are too high to waste any time. And therefore, I very much appreciate the work which was already done since the launch of this alliance back in September. It's only September, October, November, less than 3 months, and therefore it's very impressive. And I really would like to commend all those present in this virtual room today, and all of you who are actively participating in this vital work despite the present challenging conditions and restraint we all know, unfortunately, too well these days. Our foresight tells us that the demand for primary and secondary raw materials is more than likely to rise. And I just would use a few examples. I mean, from my work on the European Battery Alliance, I know how much lithium do we need. We would need 60 times more lithium by 2050 comparing to today. The same goes for cobalt, where we would need 15 times more than what we use in our production these days. And I would say that the same I can say about the demand for rare earth, for permanent magnets, which can increase tenfold within the same period of time. And we know that all these few critical materials I referred to, we need for the really products which I would call very closely linked with the technologies of the future. We are talking about wind generators, electromobility solutions, batteries, radars, robots, or you name it. And many of these critical raw materials supply chains are very much dominated by China, I would say, in nearly all stages of the value chain, from mining to refining, processing, production, and recycling. And therefore, when we look at it from this perspective, we can say that today the situation is rather bleak, that we are heavily dependent on the imports of these materials from the small number of the third countries. For example, China provides 98% of the EU supplies of rare earth elements. Turkey provides 98% of the EU supply of borate, and South Africa provides 71% of the EU's platinum needs. But many of these materials, as we know, are also present in Europe, be it rare earth, cobalt, lithium, graphite, and many others. For instance, thanks to the European Battery Alliance, we started positioning ourselves to become, hopefully already by 2025, more self-sufficient in lithium for our batteries and energy storage. So I think from what I'm saying, it's quite clear that what we need is to build resilient supply chains. And therefore, we must change our approach to critical raw materials to ensure that we would have sustainable supply, and we have to ensure that it would be at competitive cost. What it would require? It would require boosting our own domestic capacity for primary and secondary recycled raw materials, better diversifying sources from abroad. And it would also require sustainable and responsible value chains, from circular economy, from measuring the carbon footprint, for providing and guaranteeing that if we would go for these type of projects of extracting and processing of raw materials in the European Union, that we would also provide adequate social perspective and social guarantees for the local population. And I think that we should also enhance our work with overseas countries and territories, many of which are also rich in resources, like nickel in New Caledonia or rare earth in Greenland. And we are determined to engage the work and support potential projects in these regions. We are also building strategic partnerships on sustainable and responsible raw materials with our neighbors, including Ukraine and the Western Balkans. I personally had a very good discussion with Ukrainian President and Ukrainian Prime Minister, who are very much interested in these discussions. And I know that also our colleagues in Serbia would definitely want to develop more of a cooperation of this kind. So I would say that we need to really focus on sustainable action to accelerate alternative pathways with much higher resource efficiency and substitution as well. Not only how we can get these critical raw materials from the third countries, but how can we use the recycled materials, or how can we substitute them in, I would say, smart way to reduce our dependencies on import of these materials from the third countries. That would, of course, require much higher quality of circularity, better recycling, and a much more improved reuse. And we aim to do all this while keeping the highest environmental, social, and ethical standards. And I would say that this approach would be the best way and best recipe how to approach the local communities where such a projects might take place, and to start working with them on public and social acceptance, because we know that this was very often the fault of the fault of the past, where this very important project, especially in mining, extraction, or processing, been done with a lot of environmental harm, and not sharing the profits and benefits of such a project with the local communities. And this is, I think, one very key issue we need to address, and we need to be very transparent and very fair with the regions and with the local populations. Today, I think that what would be very important, and I would say as a matter of priority, and this would be to develop the support for pipeline of the key flagship industrial projects along the entire value chain, from mining and processing to recycling and reuse. And therefore, I'm glad that this is what also Alliance has very much on its mind. And here I see very important role of the European Raw Materials Alliance, now as we call it ERMA, and its investment platform. I think that to get the inspiration from another successful alliance, European Battery Alliance, is a good approach. And I really would like to thank the EIT Raw Materials for steering the alliance, just as EIT InnoEnergy manages the European Battery Alliance. And I can tell you from the experience I've accumulated over the last 3 years that this work is proving really priceless. The collaborative actions taken under this alliance will have defining effect throughout Europe's economy and will boost our standing in the world. Today, we will see the first result that the alliance and its nascent investment platform have achieved in matchmaking of project promoters with investors, thus bringing together the very concrete investment cases, tackling supply chain bottlenecks, and launching priority actions, particularly for rare earth magnets. And I very much welcome that thanks to the alliance, already 23 investment cases have been given priority. This could reach a significant volume of around 7.5 billion euro, which is very impressive. And on top of it, this investment would cover rare earth, raw materials for energy storage and conversion, and also other projects to contribute to, I would say, the overall development of the value chain. And also, I have to say that the geographical spread is very fair because these projects are coming from 14 different member states. It's very important that the investment platform would continue like this also in the future. I mean, to cover the whole value chain. And I agree also with the platform position on the need and importance how to prioritize these projects with the member states and make sure that they would become the part of the recovery plans. There is no doubt that we would need also to continue the close cooperation on these projects with also key financial partners, be it European Investment Bank or the EBRD or the EIC, which is the European and Innovation Council, and of course the Commission's financing instruments. What would be important for the future would be that Alliance should be as transparent as possible, inclusive and open to companies, member states, regions, research institutions, trade unions, and non-governmental organizations. And therefore, the list of already participating universities and research institutes in the Alliance, as they've been mentioned by my colleague, Thierry Breton, is very impressive. Because I think what we need is to use all the EU incredible potential across the whole union and to make sure that we would mobilize all key industrial players. The one more thing I would like to highlight is also how important it would be to involve the regions, because I see how crucial the cooperation with them is, especially in the context of just transition. And therefore, I would be very happy to further involve my college members and Commission services that are looking closely at innovative projects from the smart specialization perspective, where we are doing our utmost to combine regional financing with innovation targets. And I believe that also in the future, the region would play a very important role in developing local ecosystems. And I think that this would be also extended hand for the cooperation and response to the expectation and the needs of local communities. I believe that together with national authorities responsible for these projects, then regions and local communities, that would be actually that group which we should target and with whom we should cooperate as closely as possible, and make sure that we would cooperate on all relevant regulations and consultations when they would become necessary, and that they should definitely be part of the process. So to conclude, I once again would like to highlight what kind of busy afternoon session you have ahead of you. In a moment, you will hear from the Commission representatives, including Peter Hanley and his team from DG Grow. I know Peter for many years, and I'm extremely pleased that he's working on this very important task, because I know that he not only knows his file, but he also knows his way around the Commission, and I'm sure that he would be the best man to advise and suggest how to take our cooperation to the next level. As you know, the Commission is set to act as enabler, and this covers not only the crowding in or leveraging of private investment, but also setting our future-proof regulatory framework, robust international partnerships, scaling up innovation, supporting the skills, and addressing public acceptance challenges. But the Alliance is under your ownership and your leadership, because we know that this is the key to its success, and this is the key to have really the best decision taken in appropriate priority order. And therefore, I really would like to wish you a very successful meeting today, and thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vice President Šefčovič, for your kind words, your inspiration and encouragement, which emphasizes a strong level of collaboration and give us confidence of the highest level of support from the European Commission. And now, dear participants, I'm glad to start our program and share key updates regarding the European Raw Materials Alliance. As EIT Raw Materials, we are once again excited to be given the mandate to manage ERMA and its activities. Since the launch of ERMA, the membership is doubled. We have now over 200 industry partners, 74 associations and an NGO, over 30 universities and RTOs, 4 national authorities and ministries, 1 financial institution. ERMA is an open and inclusive alliance that aims to make Europe economically more resilient by diversifying its supply chains, creating jobs and attracting investments to the raw materials value chain. But it is also about fostering innovation, training young talents, and contributing to the best enabling framework for raw materials and the circular economy worldwide. Along the process of launching the European Raw Materials Alliance, different stakeholder perspectives were representative for the challenges of the raw materials sector. Those confirm the importance and far-reaching implications that raw materials have on our industry and society. For 2021, we have set ambitious goals for ERMA, as among others, the following: to increase the number of partners up to more than 300, including NGOs and government organizations, to establish the raw materials investment platform, to evaluate more than 100 proposals for investment cases, to support more than 30 proposals for investment cases, and to raise funds of up to 1 billion euro in 2021 for prioritized cases. We are already well on track. Since the ERMA launch, important progresses have been within the framework of the 2 defined ERMA clusters. You will hear more about these and those clusters and the detailed workflow from the next speakers later today. I am now pleased to provide you the first overview of the work that has been achieved so far. In the last 2 months, we have participated in key high-level meetings and discussions with relevant EU and global stakeholders. We have been successfully focusing on ERMA outreach to relevant organizations with the purpose to create the favorable conditions and high-level political support in Europe and beyond. Key meetings have been organized with relevant European Commission DGs, policymakers, European Parliament's members, representatives of member states, NGOs, corporates, as well as relevant associations. These outreach activities will support not only in keeping ERMA high in the EU agenda, but also and in particular in positioning ERMA partnership in order to unlock regional and national funding, investment and opportunities. On the investment side, during these 2 months, we have started working in assessing the first potential most relevant investment cases, both from a qualitative and quantitative standpoint. The high-level target until 2030 is to reach the investment volume up to 30 billion euros across raw materials value chains to secure the EU Green Deal through resilience of supply and competitive sustainability. First bottom-up indication of investment themes to be prioritized of an amount of roughly 10 billion euro invest volumes. The investment themes we are working on here are, from a process standpoint, in mining and processing, roughly 50%, smelting and refining, 30%, manufacturing and recycling, each 10%. From a market standpoint of today's point of view, the pipeline shows in the area of rare earths, magnets and motors, a rough 3.3 billion euro. In energy, storage and conversion, 3.8 billion euros. And in other important industrial value chains, a rough 3.2 billion euro invest cases. So EIT RawMaterials has set up an agile and fast process to bring raw materials projects into an investment channel, review and approve them to secure the most suitable financing options for them. More on this you will hear later today from our innovation director. ERMA will help to facilitate an accelerated process regarding regulatory prerequisites and the licensing needs. ERMA will accelerate promising cases through preferable treatment based on compliant environmental impact analysis and feasibility studies. Financial support and off-taking facilitation will also help creating a level playing field with non-European competitors and attract investment within the European raw materials value chain. So ERMA will build long-term resilience and strategic autonomy for the rare earths and magnets value chain while addressing other raw materials areas. We are extremely excited about the further development of this alliance, and we are looking forward to creating synergies and collaboration together to strengthen Europe's resilience and sustainability.